We are live. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to do a little bit of chatting and boring you all with my little voice again while we're waiting for people to come in. First of all, I'm going to say hi, Liz.
Hi.
So we've both been struggling a little bit with technology over the weekend. I mean, Liz has done fantastic technology-wise. We'll tell you about that in a bit. But we're just trying to find the right lighting and stuff like that. So Liz is a little bit dark, guys, but as long as you can hear her, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to just let a few people come online. I'm not in that group. Yes, you are. Okay, sorry, guys. I'm just... 2 seconds. Let me just send a link. Sorry, guys. We're trying to get as many people in here as we can. So let me just... People always want to join last minute.
Oh, no.
Join the group like an hour before it happens. Right, hang on a sec. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to just share this with somebody so that we get as many people in here as we possibly can, because you do not want to miss Liz's chat. She's so inspirational. It's unbelievable. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to be letting people in the group as we talk. So I'm really not going to be rude, but if I'm looking at my phone, it's because people want to come in last minute. So anyway, I am going to say massive welcome to you, Liz.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story with us, because I know it's difficult. It's been difficult for everybody that's come on here. Like I said, I'm just adding people in, okay? It's been difficult for everybody that's come on here, and everybody's got their own story, haven't they? Everybody's got their own stress, their own trauma, their own experiences within their life. And I'm loving that everybody's different and you've all got a different story to tell, because like I said, and I'm going to just reiterate why I set this group up and why more so I set these guest live chats up, because for me it was about encouraging people who are in that dark hole. So people that are in that place, we've been there, Liz, we've both been there, that are in that place where they really, really can't figure out where they're going to go next. They feel horrendous. Life is just kicking them in the stomach every single day, and they have no idea what to do. So my aim with these live chats was to get real people on. I know I've said this every time, but I want to keep saying it, because it isn't about paying for my coaching, and it isn't about listening to the gurus all of the time. To me, the most important thing is listening to the real people who's experienced it, who's suffered it, how did they deal with it, and all of those things. And this is why I've brought you guys on, and your story is incredible. So I'm just going to tell people how we met. So I was asked to do a fitness show, a health and wellbeing show actually, on Swansea Bay TV, which was quite big a couple of years ago, and we had our own little network in the area, didn't we? And you were one of the day hosts. Well, you did the news first, didn't you? Welsh News.
Yes.
And you presented on the day show, but you were an actress before that, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Originally, about 20 years ago, I was an actress, bilingual.
Yeah.
But due to the fibro, it was more to do with the fibro fog. I didn't realise and understand it at the time, but I couldn't remember my lines. And in the end, it was so frustrating for me, and I felt as if I was letting myself down, that I gave up on the actual acting side, but still wanted to be part of the media, as I love.
I'm just going to stop you there. So sorry to interrupt, but I just want to tell some people listening who don't know what you mean by fibro. Liz suffers really badly with fibromyalgia. So this has actually affected your career massively, hasn't it? So sorry, you continue and tell us your story. Tell us about your stress. Now, to me, fibromyalgia, and again, I'm no expert, but I have dealt with a lot of clients that have it. Fibromyalgia can be brought on by severe, chronic stress that's persistent, isn't it? Things that you haven't got over, you haven't dealt with it, and the brain tends to lock down on the body then because of that. So you tell us your story and tell us, how that's affected your career and your life, and obviously your family and relationships as well.
Well, as you said, fibromyalgia is brought on through trauma or stress, and I've had it probably up my whole life. But I was diagnosed over 20 years ago now with it. When originally it wasn't known, so I founded a fibromyalgia South Wales support group So we had to go up to the House of Commons and everything to do it. We got it registered on the DLA as well, because it wasn't recognised at the time. But because my child was so young, he was literally a baby, it put so much stress on me that I had to quit then. And I found them quite negative as well. I wanted to be positive in the group and make people just be aware they can still keep on living even though you've got what you've got.
Absolutely.
And so I was continuing to do committed work because I was determined to still work, even though the job centre told me, no, to stay in the set, you've got this now. On paper, yes, it does look bad, but in my mind, no, I'm going to work. I am going to. So at one point, I actually went self-employed because they were just basically trying to wipe me out, trying to say, do not work. I've cried in that job centre, if I'm honest.
Probably one of the only people in the job centre who actually wants to work.
This is what I get.
They're telling you not to claim, and you're like, no.
I know. It's so funny. I've said that so many times to my friends. I said, Stacey, I'm not the only one who's sitting there crying because they say no. But I think it's to do with my childhood as well. And I wanted to prove that I've come from care. So I was child from care from the age of 2.5. So I wanted to prove that I didn't want to be that stereotypical child from care. I made sure I tried my hardest, made sure no drugs, no involvement with police. I wanted to make sure, because when I was older, I wanted to be able to turn around and be some kind of an advocate for children in care, to say, look, even though this has happened to you, and
it doesn't dictate your future, does it? It's a choice that you make, isn't it?
If you want to. Yes. I was just lucky. It was just in me. Other people need that support, and I didn't have any support. But I don't know, for some unknown reason, it was just driven inside me, and I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones, and I always say that. But so I went self-employed. It lasted a year. Because I was doing handmade wedding stationery. And all the promotional items. I don't know if people know Lunacy Boutique down in Margam. I did her promotional items. I did a lot of business cards. I went to Lancashire to learn how to foil, because back then nobody did any foiling or anything. And I did bilingual wedding stationery, which meant that when I held, there was every year, I think in Margam Park, they hold a 3-day massive fete where all people can go with the businesses and that. Well, I went there and didn't expect it to blow up as quick as it did. And because it was bilingual, nobody else was doing that, and my stuff was foiled and that. So basically, I had too much work.
Okay.
It blew up too much. And I was so particular with my work, wanted everything perfect. And I had so many customers. I did from the table settings all the way through. To all the whole wedding stationery, which I loved. But it came to a point where I was going to the hospital because my arm was swelling, and they kept saying, you're doing something. I said, no, I'm not doing anything. Because I knew they were going to say what they were going to say, so I kept hiding it. And then it came to a point where they said, look, if you come again, we're going to put a cast on your arm. So I thought, right, I just can't continue anymore. It's not going to work. My friends, bless, were helping as well to do the bows and things. But you know what it's like when you've got your own business. You're so particular. And so that lasted a year. It's Camera Creations. I loved it. I still make stuff now. I still print stuff and I make things. That's one of my coping mechanisms, actually, with stress, is actually crafts. I love making jewellery. I do the box frames. There's so much I make, actually.
Anyway, so enough about selling your stuff. I'm only joking. So tell us a little bit more about, as far as you're concerned, obviously you've had fibro from a very young age. So obviously you had quite a difficult upbringing. Anything else you want to share with us? Any other stresses that you think obviously contributed to this?
Probably it is my childhood, definitely my childhood. Okay. And then later on, when I tried saying stuff and was believed by the correct people, but not believed by the people I thought I would have been supported by. And that put a lot of stress on my mental health. that broke me, actually. I was actually filming on Bay TV at the time, and I was still pushing myself with that in the background in my head, and nobody knew. But this one day I walked in, I did everything ready, I was about to go live, and I went outside and I just started crying. And I thought, I can't go on live because I am going to cry, I know I am. So I explained to the boss, it was lovely, and I basically went home. And after I went home, I did have a breakdown. And then after that, then I don't know, they think it's linked, but I started having tremors in my legs. Because up until then, I was pushing through the fibro. I kept walking, even though I was in pain. I'd come home, but they started tremoring, and then after the tremors, then I just haven't been able to wait to bed ever since. And we're talking 3 years later now, and I'm still in this wheelchair.
So 3 years later, let me just add somebody to the group. So 3 years later, and you're in a wheelchair, still in a wheelchair now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you think? Tell us a little bit about you've already said about sort of your crafts and that being a coping mechanism for you. So how do you think you've dealt with your stress over the years, or actually because of the fibro, have you not? You know, have you not actually done it properly, or you know, you tell us what have you done? What have been your mechanisms and things like that in the past?
In a way, I probably haven't really dealt with it, but what I've done instead is helped others. So I suppose in a way I've shifted it over. So my thoughts then are to help others instead, like with the sports group and things. And even with Bay TV, when I started, I changed the dynamics a bit because I wanted to make sure we had a lot on that were charities, especially the unknown ones, because a lot of people do such hard work, but they're not recognised for it. So I think that's how I managed to cope with it a lot, to be honest with you. Because before, I loved exercising.
Okay.
So I used to weight train. I wasn't a cardio person. I'm not going to lie. I was awful. I just used to weight train. I looked fit, I probably wasn't. But because I used to just lift weights permanently, I loved it. And that was my form of releasing any type of stress. But obviously, it came to a point where I just couldn't do that anymore.
I was going to say, how did you find that affected then the pain and the so how does fibro affect you? Obviously you're in a wheelchair now. How did it, you know, what were your symptoms first off, and how did they gradually then get worse, I suppose?
It started off, even as a child, I used to have pain, and when it was cold, it wouldn't be I'd feel cold, I would actually feel pain. But trying to explain that was quite difficult. And as I got older, did the normal thing as newspaper rounds. I blamed the pain on my shoulder on that. I played tenor saxophone, so I blamed the pain then on that because I was tiny. I was so tiny as a child. And even up until I left comprehensive, I was literally tiny. I used to eat to put weight on because I couldn't put weight on. So it's the opposite for me at the minute. Now it's really hard to try and deal with the excess weight I've got now. But so it's the other way around. So it wasn't until I stopped all that and then I realised, well, hang on, I've still got this pain. Something is obviously still going on. And when I moved down to Port Talbot, I was in the actual homes in Port Talbot, in the children's homes. And I went to the doctors, I had a pain in my ankle, and she said, well, it's all swollen, it's no wonder. But I'd walk there because that's what you do. You just don't think.
Get on with it.
Yeah. So I went down and he said, and then it just graduated from there, really. But I have had trauma to my feet and my ankles anyway as a baby. So whether that is the link, I'm not sure. They aren't sure either. It could be to do with the burning of my feet. So it could be that. That could be actually the trauma of it. But this is why I don't know. I just want to just help people. It's just what I want to do. I've joined now what's it called? I'm awful at remembering things. My memory's awful. Okay. But it's the co-production. It's for the volunteers.
Right.
And it's the West Glamorgan as well, co-production team. So now on the panel, that helps them to create the strategies and the policies So we work alongside the local health boards, the businesses, the volunteer sectors, and we all then combine, get together, and then create the action policies and the strategies then that go out then to, say, social services, and hopefully have an input to make things better, because obviously everything needs to be changed. But I'm especially excited right now.
So is your so do you have, so obviously you're in a chair now, but you're saying about the pain when you were younger. Did you have like poor range of movement? Were you not as agile as like the other kids as well? Did you recognize that?
Yeah, it was strange because I loved gymnastics.
Right.
But I would do it, but then I would be in agony after, and I couldn't understand why.
And that wasn't just muscle ache.
Yeah. I would do all the movements I had to do, but the pain afterwards was horrendous. Yeah. And I just could never understand why that was, though. But I just carried on with it. And then after I left, like I said, left school and came down to here, I started the gym. I actually went to the smallest gym possible. Yeah. Because I preferred all the older, the old weights, old school weights, as they say. And that. Yeah. So I was using them. And I did that for, about 3 years. I was taking protein shakes, I was doing all the right stuff, eating healthily. But every morning I was literally tiptoeing down the stairs because I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't put my feet down properly. And I'd go onto my bike to go down to Tai Bach, then to go to the gym. Yeah. And it just, in the end, I remember this one time, my doctor already told me to stop. But as I carried on. But this one time I was doing with the butterfly the chest exercise. I did that one and my arm just gave way and swung back. So it really scared me, and that was the last time I went to the gym then, because I felt, right, okay, enough.
You've got to take precautions, haven't you? So, I mean, to be honest with you, I was fighting back a couple of tears. I had to just let you keep talking and thinking, right, let it pass. I can imagine what you went through as a child to obviously have all of those horrendous experiences and memories, really, isn't it? Because it doesn't matter even if you were young, that's going to still be there, isn't it?
Yeah. So
with everything that's happened, okay, so what has made you think, because you're doing loads of incredible stuff, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you've already said about a few of the things that you're doing, but what has made you think, do you know what, I am not accepting this, I'm not going to allow this, like you said earlier on, one thing you touched on, sorry, I do want to say, about when you set up the fibromyalgia group. I remember quite a few years ago, I had a lady that came to my gym and she had fibromyalgia and she actually had her own group, and I went to speak there, and honestly, I thought like, oh my God, I'm going to make a massive difference in these people's lives. And honestly, a few of them didn't want to know. No. What you just said, it was very negative. And, this isn't everybody, because we had Kerry on the other week as well, who was fantastic. I mean, Kerry's partially blind, and I'm sure you've seen Kerry's interview. Yeah. She's incredible, and she's now been diagnosed with fibromyalgia as well. I'm not saying this is everybody, but there was quite a few people in that room that gave me the impression that they were not interested in taking steps to get better. They were accepting the way that they were accepting then the card that they'd been dealt, and they were just rolling with that, giving up on themselves and giving up on their lives. And I see that a lot, and I don't want to be the negative person, but I do see it. No, and I've had people to me for coaching, even people that came to the gym didn't really want to do it. They were quite happy. I don't know if happy is the word, but they were comfortable just accepting and not like what you've done, like you said, not letting it beat me. They weren't prepared to make the change or to go through the pain, because you are in pain constantly, aren't you? Yeah. So I think it was a hard decision, but like the decision you've made now, you've come to me, and we're going through a program together, aren't we? Yeah. And you made a decision to say, I am absolutely not accepting this with my life. Yeah. I'm not accepting my weight. I'm not accepting being unhappy, uncomfortable. Yeah, okay, I'm in a chair for the moment, but I want to do what I can to get out of it. Is it going to be painful? Yeah, of course it is. But also, like, you understand a lot about how fibro works now. And if you start doing things that improve your health and your well-being and release the stress that your brain is perceiving, then you know that it's going to unlock parts of your body too. So when did you actually get to the point where you thought, enough is enough, I need to do something? I
literally reached rock bottom, if I'm honest. I didn't realise I had glandular fever.
Right.
From Christmas time through until I still have it a bit, hence like underneath my chin. But I was pushing and pushing and pushing, but didn't realise that I had something on top of fibromyalgia. Because I think once you get labelled with something, you just accept it. So I never went to the doctors. In the end, I rang them and said, look, there's something wrong. I can't do anything. I'm sleeping, I'm lethargic. So in the end, it took about 4 different blood tests because they had to come out because obviously couldn't go to them. This was before the COVID-19. And eventually they found out after I had a seizure and went into the hospital. When I came back, they did more blood tests, and then they found out then that I actually had some time had glandular fever, and it was obviously still in my system. So I think I'd gone so low, but I was blaming myself for being the way I was. Because I'm so used to fighting through, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't fight through. So I'd slowly given up on myself, I think. And I think when physio stopped also, that put me back a bit, because 1 minute I was pushing myself every time they came. Even if I was in a flare-up, I had bad flu one time and they told me you should have cancelled. But I was like, no, I want to, even if it's 2 steps on this walker, I've done 2 steps. And they said, right, okay. In the end, they told me to go to bed because I was awful. I was awful, but it's that determination drive. But yeah, I just hit rock bottom and thought, I can't keep going like this. Mm-hmm. I had to accept the fact that I'm in the chair. That's been the hardest thing for me, if I'm honest. From pushing myself, walking, even though nobody would know I'd be in pain. I had one of my friends a few months back saying to me, I didn't realise, Liz, you had fibro until you said. She said, I always wondered why on set you would always pop in pills. And I just looked at her and thought, oh my gosh, is that what everybody's been thinking about me? Yeah. Because I never told anyone. I used to hide it. Mm-hmm. And only my close friends knew. And if I was really unwell, I wouldn't leave the house. So I'd only leave the house looking presentable. And I always made the effort. Touching quickly on what you did say, though, about people sometimes feeling that once they've had that diagnosis, they give up. When I used to go to Valinja Hospital, I got told that it was really nice to see somebody that was pushing themselves, because what they said was, there's a few outside right now, they're in wheelchairs and they don't need to be. And I got told when my son was in a cot next to me, that's how young he was, that in 5 years' time, I'd be in a wheelchair. Well, when I got told that, I thought, well, if that's the case, I'm going to do as much as I can. That's when I started doing the acting and everything, and did everything full force. And so at least I can look back and I can say I've done stuff.
Of course. And
only now this has happened, 3 years later. My son's going to be 23 this year. So I've had that 20 years. Yeah. Well, 15 years what he said anyway. So whether this is what they were on about, I really don't know. But it's not going to stop me. Okay. I'm determined with your help now. We're doing these exercises. Mm-hmm. And it's just making me feel better as well. Doing something, and that's what I wanted to do, with why I wanted to put it up for other people to see it, put myself in that vulnerable position, because a lot of my friends don't really realise I'm in a wheelchair, mm-hmm. or didn't even know I had fibromyalgia. Yeah. I had one before COVID-19. It's going to come down, and she said, oh, where should I meet you? I was like, I can't get here, you've got to come here. And I had to explain, because I haven't really said much on Facebook. I'm not very public that way.
And a lot of carers as well coming in to help you, don't you?
Yes, I did just now, actually. That's what 4 times a day, which is really, really hard, if I'm honest, because it's like, they're so lovely. They're really, really, really lovely. But it's just so hard to have that help when you think, I didn't need it before. I've pushed myself now all these years, and now all of a sudden I have to have this help. Yeah. But I've accepted it. Like now I've accepted the chair, which is why I was adamant I was going to do the exercise regime from the chair, and just to show people that, look, this has happened. Yeah, been dealt many cards over the years, not going to lie, many. And plenty of times I thought, why me all the time? But I'm just thinking, do you know what? I'm a good person. I want to help others. But first of all, you've got to help yourself.
Absolutely.
And that is one thing I think I never really thought of. I never stopped and thought, right, am I with negative people? Am I around negative people? Or am I actually around positive people? So I decided that I need to be around positive people and then to be able to be positive myself and continue on a journey that then gets me back to Liz, basically. Because I had lost my identity. I know I had. I had quite a bit. But no, doing the regime with you and putting that up and having the feedback was heart-wrenching. I was even crying, if I'm honest, when some people said,
you did fantastic. And you know what? There was just for people to know, basically what's happened is Liz has done a few of my things over the last few months. So you got a lot of the stress workshop, didn't you, Liz?
Yes.
So she's taken on board a lot of tips and advice. So started changing her nutrition and realised that she needs to do some exercise. So obviously we're doing mobility at the moment. We're doing what we can within the chair. But so Liz does another TV show. She's going to tell you about that in a second. So what we're going to do on there, we've already done one broadcast. We're going to go live soon, so she can tell us all of that in a second. But our aim is to help other people now that are in chairs themselves, isn't it, Liz? So that could be anything. It doesn't have to be fibromyalgia. It just means that you're restricted to a chair. And do you know what? You are so fantastic for doing this, because I know we've had so many chats over the last few weeks. It took a lot of courage, didn't it, for you to put this out there and for you to show people you're in a chair. You think, guys, I mean, I can only tell you from my point of view, when I was had my TV show, I was on the radio, and then obviously my postnatal depression, and I know how that affected me. But can you imagine being this person and then being restricted to a chair? Can you imagine what's happened to Liz and how she's felt? And she's coming back strong, wanting to help other people. Of course, that means helping yourself. Like we say, and I'm going to have to say it in this one because I say it in all of them, putting your own gas mask on first. We know how vitally important that is. But for you, your priority here is to make sure that other people see. And so is mine by doing these live feeds. This is why I wanted to get you on. We don't ever need to give up, guys. I mean, look at Liz's situation. Listen to all she's been through. She's not giving up. Look at Kerry that we had on the other day. Look at every single person, but I'm just saying, I'm just pulling some people out of a hat here. Every single person we've had on, hopefully, gives at least one of you watching these hope. Yeah. Hopefully they give you hope and they give you that little light at the end of the tunnel, because you know what, if they can go through all of this shit and if they can still come out, look at Liz's smile, it's beautiful. Every time I speak to her, we were having fun doing the workout the other day. Every time I speak to you, you're never down. You always have this huge smile on your face. And you battle this every single day. Pain, like you would not believe. Poor range of movement, not being able to get out of that chair, having carers to come in for you. Your son, I know, is amazing and helps you loads as well. People just don't understand that we can survive. We can get through things. And no matter how dark and horrible your situation is at the moment, guys, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. So tell us a little bit about your program and what we're going to be doing now with the workouts and how people can see them and how you're helping. Tell us all about that.
We're launching it's called Talking Freely with Liz Cairns and Lee Ellery. And Lee Ellery I also met whilst working on BayTV. I interviewed him. Yeah, that's right.
And he on here the other week, if you remember, guys. Again, another incredible inspiration. Sorry, I'm mentioning Kerry and you. And look at Lee. Lee struggles with the same things every single day as well, So yeah, go on.
Yeah, bless him. So when we had a chat, and basically we realised we were on the same page, that what we wanted to do was raise awareness, because obviously the channel had gone. And whilst I was on there, I really pushed to try and raise awareness for all these different things. And we had a chat and we were basically on the same page, like I said. So we decided to create a show ourselves online. And with doing the chair regime, that would be going up on there as well, so that we're not just covering people with disabilities, visual or non-visual. We're having people that are talented musicians. It's going to be a variety of things. It's going to be uplifting. it's basically hopefully going to be a signpost as well for people that if they need help, where to go to receive that help, and just raise awareness of things and to try and break down the barriers of stigma.
Yeah.
And stigma, sadly, with mental health is still really bad, irrelevant to what people are trying to say. And with the environment we're in right now with the COVID-19, I think it's more important than ever to try and tackle this and to just try and raise awareness and for people to be able to be open and speak about it, because it's when you keep everything in, that's when everything hits, that's when everything goes wrong. That's when your brain shuts down, your body shuts down, like I learned from your seminar, which is amazing, which really encouraged me actually to just go for it, not just do the show, but to change myself as well. Otherwise, I probably would have done the show, but not really looked at myself. Your seminar actually helped me to think, right, you know what, everything you've just said, I know, but hearing it has made me think, right, I'm going to change now. That's it. I'm no more. I am actually going to change, because when I want to help other people, I want to show them that I am changing also, so they can follow in my journey with me whilst I follow with them. And that's basically what I want to do. But with talking freely.
When is that going to be? Is it like just like a morning show or that type of thing? So tell us where it's going to be. Tell us all about it.
What we're going to do is it's going to be in the evening about 5 o'clock. Okay. Because what we were thinking was after the lockdown, when everything goes back to normal, most people will be in work otherwise. So because we're going live, we thought if we stick to 5, hopefully most people will be able to watch it live. If not, they'll be able to watch it later on again anyway. Yeah. But to have all people on, like I said, to raise the awareness and that. And some will be live, some we may pre-record, depending on the situations and depending on what they're doing, how they're feeling as well also. Again, once this is all over, especially people with PTSD or something like that, I may have to go to their home to actually interview them, because they wouldn't feel, they need that safe place, and their safe place is at home, but they need me there. So the dynamics may change slightly once it's all over, but that just means then we can broaden out even more. But at the moment, with it being online, it means that we're having people in a few weeks' time but from Africa. We're going to be speaking to them because they're doing an initiative out there through music for young children, youngsters up to any age really, to be honest with you, to help with them with their confidence, for them to release their emotions through music. But they also helped Keenan with his very first rap track. So, and they didn't need to do that. They had no reason. So all I did was liked something they did, and they started speaking, and I explained about my son, and yes, he has anxiety really bad and that also. And they said, look, tell him, send us some lyrics over and we mix one for him. And they did, for free. Nothing, didn't want anything whatsoever. And now I've become ambassador of their initiative, because I've carried on and continued with them through the journey. They're growing great. So we're going to be able to have so many and widespread. And again, like I said, raising initiatives. But it's the fact of being able to show that we've got Africa and Wales joining together. Yeah. They've done another song with another girl as well. She had autism, and it's really, really helped her by doing this track. And I know her mother really, really appreciated the fact that they mixed this track for her. Yeah. And we probably have her on as well at some point, probably the same time, so we can talk about it all together then. Yeah. But they've been amazing as well. There's so many people out there that's just fab and want to help others.
Of course, and I think, you know, like bringing people on here, I know it's been hard for a lot of you. You were a bit nervous before you came on, and everyone else has come on to speak. But because you're all so passionate about helping others, I think when you go through trauma and you go through pain, and I'm talking about pain mentally and physically here in your life, as much as you have and everybody else that I've had online, I think you get to a point where you think, one, I don't want this anymore, and two, I don't want anyone else to go through this. So if I can do anything to help prevent that, or if I can help people manage that better, or put things in place to, like I said, prevent it from happening. So yeah, I mean, what you're doing is fantastic, and hopefully we'll get to see that soon as well. So if anybody wants to obviously follow Liz from here, and the tag, I mean, she's tagged in everything anyway, but you could pop her a message, I'm sure, Liz, or Lee Ellery, who was on here the other day. I'm sure you'd be grateful to hear from anybody that has a good story to tell, and is as inspirational as you are, really. So the next step for us is, Liz is doing fantastic. I mean, you did the workout the other day, didn't you? Tell us how you felt after that, because that was the first workout you've done for how long?
Oh my gosh. Oh, years and years, to be honest. Yeah, because even when I was doing B, that drained me, so I couldn't do anything else. Apart from that, I'd go in as permitted work, so I could only do 4 hours a day. And I'd come home and I'd either go to bed or just lay on the sofa. But I had that euphoria of, I've done something, I'm on telly, people can't say anything about me because they can see I'm working, and that was enough for me. But that goes back to, again, stereotyping people with illnesses, invisible illnesses.
I mean, we all do it. We all have that, what is it? I can't think of the word I want now, but we all have that. Okay, what are people going to say? What are they going to think? You know, and yeah, we all get that. But at the end of the day, when you are putting yourself out there to help somebody, we've got to think about, we're doing it for the greater good then, haven't we? Which is exactly what you're doing. So you did fantastic in that workout the other day. You know, we've got lots of other stuff coming up for people to see, haven't we? So hopefully people will want to watch your journey. And depending on, obviously, the feedback and everything we get from it, we may be putting something together for people in a similar situation as you, isn't it? So we're looking at doing sort of chair workouts for the future guys, and some nutritional advice and mindset and things like that. So I'm looking at putting a little program together, but we'd love feedback on it first. So obviously we're not going to put it together if people don't want it. I'm sure people want it, so we would love everybody's feedback, wouldn't we, Liz? And you know,
it's lovely hearing from Sam that said it was nice to see somebody actually thinking of people that weren't fully able-bodied. And one person also said that her child, who has autism, he's quite young as well. She said that he did yoga in school and he loved that, and she said because of the way it was done, he'd be able to copy us. So he's going to do it as well. And when I read that, I was nearly breaking. I honestly was nearly crying, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, we're not just reaching adults, we're reaching children as well. Because that's the thing, anybody, it's old age as well. It's not just people in wheelchairs. It's just people that may have lack of mobility, just weakness.
Do you know what? I can relate to that, okay? Because my nan is 95. She's in a nursing home, okay? Never exercised, but always was. She was a model when she was younger, right? She was like stunning, but she never exercised. And I can remember when she went into the nursing home and she was restricted into this chair. Then she could still move her legs and everything. I was like, right, Nan, let's do something. No, don't want to do those. And I'm like, come on, Nan, we need to, we need to keep it. No, don't want to do those. But I was the wrong person, because I was so close to her, and it was what I did. It's my job. It's, sometimes you don't take advice off those people that are close to you, that have a certain profession. My husband's an electrician, and I still think I know electrics better than him. But yeah, I relate to that with my nan. So you're totally right. There is no age limit on this, guys. It's not as if we're going to be lifting heavy weights. We're looking for mobility within the joints. We're looking for activating the muscles, and getting that feel good factor and making you feel good up here. Are you going to lose weight? Of course you are, because we're going to be managing stress. You're going to be moving your body like it hasn't moved for a long time. And you know what? More than anything, you're going to bloody feel good. And that's the most important thing, isn't it, Liz? And that's our aim. So what we would love from tonight, obviously we want you all to be inspired by Liz, because she's so incredible, and we want you to realise that the biggest thing for me, and Liz can give her advice in a second, but the biggest thing for me is never give up. Never give up, guys. Whatever is going on in your life, do you know what? There's good times and bad times for us all, and the good times may continue for longer than we expect, and the bad times may continue for longer than we want them to. But I promise you, they will not last forever, and there's always a way out. And do you know what? The biggest thing, I think, is reaching out. reaching out to other people, and this is why we are doing these things, is because we want to help genuinely, not for money. We want to help. Okay, so it's a genuine from both of our hearts here. Plus Lee, because Lee is involved here as well massively. But what I would say, and Liz, you can have your input in a sec. What I would say, if anybody on here tonight has enjoyed this, if anybody on here knows somebody that isn't necessarily totally restricted to a wheelchair, but people that can't do normal exercise for whatever reason, okay, and you think that they'd be capable of doing our wheelchair workouts, our chair workouts, then please share this with them. Please get them to contact us, either of us, or even Lee, the three of us, and say that you're interested, because the more we know that people are interested, the more we can do. What would you like to say, Liz?
You've basically covered it, really. I was just going to say, yes, if anybody out there knows of anybody or themselves feel, like you said, you don't have to be in a wheelchair whatsoever. Some people, it's not even down to, they could be walking fine, but have just ailments, which means they're restricted to doing certain exercises. So to be able to do those exercises from the chair, they'll be able to do it. So basically, we're trying to cover for everybody, so that, like you said, you get that good feeling. Those endorphins are racing, which I had after I did it the first time. And just please just share, really, because our aim is to help others and to reach out and just to get as many people to realise that they can do it.
And I think, like you just hit the nail on the head, didn't you? Because we're not looking at people that are necessarily disabled, in pain, any of those things. It could be somebody that's excessively overweight, that can't do the normal exercises. There's so much out there now, and yes, of course, I do it as well, but there's so much out there now that there's extreme workouts, there's Joe Wicks, there's Insanity, there's all these things, and there's actually more people that cannot do those types of exercises than there's people that can do it. So we are looking to help the people that cannot do the mainstream exercise that is out there all of the time, all of the stuff that you see on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of it. It's all amazing, and that's the normal stuff that I do. We want to target the people that are intimidated, haven't got the range of movement, haven't got the freedom and flexibility, maybe overweight so they can't do it, restricted in any way. Where if you are restricted and you can't do those normal workouts, and you think that this is going to be fun and it is going to benefit you, then please let us know, join on, tag, share, because we want to help as many people as we can.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to cut today. I could talk to you all night, as you know. I just wanted to tell you a few things. Sorry, the sun is getting to me now. And we've got so many comments on the side. I want you to go back and read them later, because everything is, you are amazing, you are wonderful, what an inspirational woman. Yeah, we've got some names, obviously, Bernie, we've got Rachel Williams, we've got Lee. So many people along here, and obviously some people who haven't put their names into StreamYard, so unfortunately until we go back in the group we can't see. So I am going to share this on my main page. Liz is going to then share it on hers. Whoever wants to share it, share it. Let's get it out there, guys, because we want to help as many people.
Let's get us all active.
Absolutely. Liz, you are an inspiration. I absolutely love you to bits, and
thank you.
Bloody made me cry. I knew it. Knew that would happen. my husband's like this, you're gonna cry again, and I'm like, no. He's like, yeah.
This is why I said only little bits. I was good.
Only little bits, I know. I was like, oh no, don't go into this in too much detail. No. Okay, thank you so much. Go and look after yourself. Go and have a nice chill, because I know you were a little bit nervous before you came on. Take on board everything that I said in the workshop and look after yourself. I will speak to you later. Lots of love, and thank you all for joining us.
Yes, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.